Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of PodSaveChocolate. My name is Clay Gordon, and today we're going to be announcing the winners of the 2025 Craft Chocolate Challenge. I'm really, really excited to be able to have some special guests here today, but also to remind everybody that you can go into the comments, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. Let us know where in the world you're connecting from, and if you have a question about today's challenge, you can also get it up of the judges or of the guests, whoever is here, just let us know. So I'm going to bring everybody up on stage and we'll give a big welcome to Dustin Cornett of the Chocolat Cafe in Rushville, Indiana. Dustin is the mastermind and the founder of the Craft Chocolate Challenge. Dustin, it's great to have you here today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is like, our Super Bowl, so really
it is
fun time.
I'm really excited. I also want to welcome Lila Carvajal Urker, who is the guiding force and the leading light of Cocoa Supply, who is the sponsor of the Innovation Awards category. Lila, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Clay. Thank you so much, Dustin.
Great. And I also want to say hello to Mike King, who's joining us from suburban Kansas City, Missouri. Mike has been an entrant in this is his third year, I believe, that you've been an entrant in the Craft Chocolate Challenge. And, we're going to ask you questions about the experience and all that kind of stuff. So thank you all to be there. And again, I see we have a comment. So just giving a quick shout out to Download Chocolate from Camus. Is it Camus or Camus? I'm sorry. I lived in Olympia, so I always thought it was Camus, Washington. Jeff and Lee Huth, they were entrants in this year's challenge. So thanks for watching us, guys. We really do appreciate that. So Dustin, walk us through the Craft Chocolate Challenge, what it's all about, why you decided to start it, and why are we here today?
Okay, so yeah, it's season 4, so this has been going on for a while. And the reason I started it was I myself, as a small chocolate maker, was trying to grow my craft, but I found it hard to do that. And at the time, I was in Appalachia and Eastern Kentucky. It was really difficult for me to go places and network with other chocolate makers at different festivals and so forth. I tried to enter other contests that happened. The feedback was very minimal. At that time, it was even less than it is now. So they have improved since then, which is great. But at that time, I would enter bars and it's like hundreds of dollars you spend on this and you get maybe one line of why they didn't like it or why they did like it. And you just really didn't know and you couldn't really tell how to grow your craft that way. So I was looking for a way to do it. And I figured there'd probably be other people out there like myself that was having those type of struggles. So I decided I'll just make my own. I'll just make it how I would like it to be run so that somebody can get feedback and grow their craft and learn from others and make these connections and build a little community around everything and just try to grow the industry that way. So that's what I did. And here we are today as we continue to celebrate.
That's great. So for people who don't know, I've been involved since year 2. So this is the 3rd year that I have been a judge. And Dustin was kind enough to reach out to me and say, Clay, do you have any ideas for ways of improving the judging? And so I've been working with Dustin to help refine the judging process over the course of the last couple of years. But Mike, Dustin mentioned the reason why he started the challenge. Can you tell me what attracted you to entering the challenge in the first place? Now, had you already entered things like the International Chocolate Awards and the Northwest Chocolate Festival and things like that? Or was this challenge the first awards that you entered?
It was the first awards. I was actually brand new into the industry. I had been making chocolate for a hobby for a while, but I had only been commercially doing it for 3-4 months before I entered the first time. And really, I was just trying to understand, what people thought of my chocolate. I kind of was in a vacuum of not having anybody that really knew and could evaluate chocolate. So I entered the contest.
Now, I also understand that one of your other small enterprises, right, is the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival. And, Mike, one of the things that, you took advantage of as a part because of your relationship with Dustin in this awards was being an exhibitor at the inaugural Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival the weekend before Thanksgiving, which is a crazy weekend. And Lila, I know you were there, and I will get to you next because I think it's really, really important. But how did you see the relationship between the Craft Chocolate Challenge and the festival as a way of growing your business and growing awareness? Because in my mind, the two are fairly closely related.
Yeah, and I guess the festival was actually my first chocolate festival as well. So I kind of went into a lot of this experience just without any experience. So the festival really kind of opened my eyes to what other makers were doing, be able to taste other people's chocolate, build some friendships with some of those other makers. It's been a great experience.
And I'm glad to hear that. And, Lila, you and I have known each other for quite some time. I've had the great privilege of not only visiting you in New York City when I was living in Brooklyn, but visiting with you and your facility when I was in Guayaquil in 2022. So what about the Craft Chocolate Challenge, as someone who supplies ingredients and services to small chocolate makers? What is it about the Craft Chocolate Challenge in particular that speaks with you and what it is that you're trying to do right in your business?
Absolutely. I mean, for us, being on the supplying side of ingredients, it's always important to know what makes the craft maker, what inspires him or her, and what makes this craft maker look for new ways of selling their chocolate. One of the things I always said is one of our missions is to expand the craft industry, to take away consumers from the street mass-produced chocolate and to bring it to the craft industry by giving them the experience and of new flavors, of better quality, of sustainability, ethical cocoa, and also of bringing it back to the community, to the craft maker. So when we have this type of challenges, or the Midwest Craft Chocolate Festival, is we have this direct feedback, and we can see in front row who is doing what and what they're doing well and where they need more support, and what we can do as an ingredient supplier to help them promote to these markets. So it's for us, it's like the window or the goal to see what's finally happened. Of course, we see ingredients, we see the quality, we see what they need, but this is really a step forward, seeing what the final consumer wants from the craft maker and how we can help that craft maker achieve that.
Great. There is one person who is not here, who was an integral part of this year's festival, or this year's challenge. But before we get there, what I want to do is give a quick shout out to the people from Diego's Chocolate, Schenectady, New York, and San Pedro La Laguna in Guatemala, from A Craft Chocolate in Rochester, New York, from Fernando Velez of Chocaico in Avon, Connecticut. Fernando, thank you very much for joining us. Marc-Antoine Lalonde from Chocolat Infini in Magog, Quebec in Canada, and congratulations on your election yesterday. It was I think, fortunate news, at least as far as I'm concerned. And then also a quick shout out to Mitali Patel from Mitali Chocolate in India. And all of these companies, all of the people who've joined us so far, are either entrants or winners in this year's challenge. And I brought them up because what we're talking about is that the Craft Chocolate Challenge attracts a global audience of makers, which, Dustin, I suppose does that surprise you? Are you surprised by the number of international makers who are a part of this competition, many of whom don't have distribution here in the United States? Does that surprise you, or was it something you wanted to do from the very beginning?
It does actually. Something I did want to do, but it does surprise me. It surprised me more in the beginning than now because we've been able to grow so much. But yeah, when I still remember one of the first guys, Mario from Chile, sending me his bars, and I'm like, wow, this came from all the way from the other
Chile.
part of the world,
Yeah.
and it's like we're here to judge this. And I remember his Pon Tostito. I can't pronounce things as well as you, Clay. Maybe Japanese, but not so much Spanish. But anyway, I remember that, and it makes me feel great that we can have that reach and help. And there's different ways, we can do so. I do feel like Mike talked about, it's like a community we're building here too. And it was fun to see that at the Midwest Festival, that community kind of coming together. It's the first time for me to meet all of you guys in person.
Yeah.
So that's just fantastic. It was like, I made my own little world because I couldn't go out. I brought everybody in. So it's like, it works good for me, but I'm definitely happy that this has grown the way it has. I believe we had 17 international makers enter this year. And 23 debut makers, which means this is 23 first time makers for our challenge. So that's fun.
So what I want to do before we jump into things, we have another one. Hey, we've got Jennifer from Burnt Fork Bend Chocolate. So Jennifer, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate your being able to get here today. Mark Antoine is laughing at my mention of yesterday's election. But I do want to mention one other person who can't be here today, and that is Stephanie, or Steph, from Beanstalker. Beanstalker is an online platform for rating and reviewing chocolate bars. And Steph graciously lent the use of her platform, right, to judge the bars this year. So Dustin, talk about your experience. I don't want you to talk about your experience. What do you think the benefit to both Beanstalker and to the challenge is of having this online platform for everyone involved? For example, Mike, right now there are at least 9 different reviews of each of the 2 bars you entered into the Craft Chocolate Challenge, which are up on beanstalker.com, so that anybody who sees this can go over to Beanstalker. By the way, it's BEANSTALKR, Beans Talker without the E, or Stalker, again without the E, your choice. What are your thoughts about the potential impact that this might have on your business and how you see it? And then Dustin, same thing for you. But Mike, for you first.
Okay.
I really haven't thought about it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Any exposure, obviously, for a small business is critical. I'm a one-man shop, so getting any type of exposure on any type of platform like that, can only benefit me. Especially when you have reviews, and it's nice to actually get reviews too that are, honest from actual users, because it's so difficult as a maker to get really objective feedback on your products, because your friends and family obviously want to support you. So it's obviously going to be the best chocolate in the world.
Because it is, of course. Absolutely. Yes.
So, something like that is only a positive.
Yeah, right. So Dustin, you have different, you have some of the same. I mean, ironically, you can't enter your bars into the challenge, right? And so you don't, unless I don't know if you sent every judge one of your bars, but I didn't actually see, Chocolat Inn as, having their bar listed for review up on the website. But talk about it from the point of view of the challenge. I mean, the value that you're delivering to people who enter goes beyond just the feedback that we're providing to them privately.
Yes. So the number one goal of the Craft Chocolate Challenge is to help chocolate makers. So anytime I have the opportunity to help a maker, whether, giving them access to join our festival with no cost or free, or be able to promote them or do anything like that, I'm going to jump on to that. So the fact that Beanstalker and Steph was open to doing this was fantastic. It all of the, the reviews, I should say, on there, they're not the reviews that we send the feedback for. It's everything that we do is private. So it's not a ranking review type of system at all. It's just kind of exposure of this many people have had this bar, and they can pick out flavors. So on her platform, it's about finding the flavors, but it also provides an area to people to land to find those bars and to find those makers and to find out more about them. And the more we do this together, then we both grow what we're trying to do. And that just helps. When she's in Australia, it's a whole world away. So we're doing this internationally to grow the whole craft chocolate industry. So I think it's great. And I loved how it worked with the judging this year too. Do you want me to go into that yet, or you want me to wait?
Not quite yet. Okay. What I want to do is I want to turn the attention slowly to Lila. I mean, Lila, again, you and I have known each other for quite some time. And then when Dustin and I approached you last year to be able to sponsor the Innovation Award, I think that, knowing you and, what your mission is, what is it about the Innovation Award, which no other chocolate awards even attempts to do? What is it about that specifically which speaks to you? I mean, it's one of my two favorite judging categories in the entire thing. But what is it that speaks speaks to you about that?
Well, it goes on a personal level. Having been in cocoa and chocolate since I was born, anything that is new is exciting. Anything that when we find new forms, new ways of using it, new flavor combinations, new texture combinations, anything that is some type of innovation is something that fascinates me on a personal level, on the geek level, on the engineering level, on anything, on all those levels that are the creativity level too. So that's on that side. So there's a personal excitement when I hear about it or when I see about it. But on the mission itself, as what we do to promote or to expand the craft chocolate market, it is something that's vital, that separates us from the mass production. Craft chocolate makers can innovate faster, have more locally sourced materials that normally would take sometimes even years until it goes into a big company. A big company needs to first find the need for it, a market search. They need to see if enough people would be interested, if it's economically feasible, if it makes sense. Then they have to go through all the legal requirements, and then they start working on research to bring it. And that takes a very long time. Meanwhile, anyone in there that is a craft chocolate maker, if they come up with something or they see something interesting, and they're all of them are incredibly creative people. That's how they got into it and skilled. They just try it one night, and if it works, they give it to family and friends, and they will say, they like it or not. And that is an innovation that I think we have been pioneering as a craft industry into pushing even the bigger companies to create something new. I do think that the craft chocolate market was the one that made the bigger company think, we need to create something new, because right now our chocolate looks very dated compared to what's going on.
Right. And right now we need something that doesn't include pistachio and knafe. So Mike, what's the craziest thing you've ever tried and you said, nah, or if you want to share, this is just wild.
It was about a year ago. You challenged me to really get local and dive into my local flavors. So I tried making a barbecue sauce chocolate bar. Not a lot of success there so far.
Right. So anything with the cheesy corn as well?
No, that was going to be the next one. But the barbecue sauce, I tried about half a dozen different attempts and just kind of was like, time to focus on other things.
Great. So Dustin, let's talk about judging. But what I want to do is I want to talk about before we get into the judging process for this year, one of the things that's different about the Craft Chocolate Challenge compared with the International Chocolate Awards, the Academy of Chocolate, is the number of awards and the number of categories is very, very limited. And then you also have this graduation tier. So can you talk about those things and what that means for the challenge? Because I think it creates a very different dynamic.
Yes. So I set this up in a way as for kind of a feedback forward, not just everybody gets an award. I would love for everybody to get an award. Like, one of the hardest things for me to do now at the end of this is to not give somebody an award, because it's terribly difficult for me. But we can't think about it that way. And the unique part is, it's not so much for the award how great your chocolate is. It's kind of comparing it, and not really comparing is a bad word. It's like it's up against others, because if you would have maybe entered yours in a different year, it could have won at the same score than if it was facing a different bar. So it's kind of this like head-to-head competition almost, which is completely different than all the other challenges, all the other competitions and stuff out there. So I find that incredibly unique. And I was diving in some of the data earlier today, because I was trying to figure out, what was so memorable from year 2 for me. I always remember season 2 with some of these bars, and I was thinking that had to be like the best year. So I was diving back into the data and realized that actually this year's scores were better than, primarily year 2. I was thinking, wow, that's so interesting, because my memory tells me a little bit differently than the actual data does. But now I have these data points that I can go back to and see, and that's fun. That's fun to do. And then also through how we judge things, I just can look into the eyes of the other judge. I'm kind of judging the judges too, because it's really interesting to see like how I score and compared to how Clay scores, which I'm kind of the only one that has this information, but I can see all that.
I don't even have it. As head judge, I don't have the view into this. But I do want to get to the awards part of this, but I do want to, for people who are not familiar, other things that make the Craft Chocolate Challenge unique is, number one, is that there are only 4 main categories: plain and flavored dark chocolate bars, plain and flavored milk chocolate bars, plain and flavored white chocolate bars, bars with inclusions, and that's it. Those are the 4 categories, and there are only 3 awards in each category. So there's a gold, a silver, and a bronze in each category. So that limits things very, very much. I believe there were over 800 awards. Oh no, yeah, something like 800 awards that were given out at the recent Academy of Chocolate Awards. I mean, which is a lot of awards.
And we only allow maybe up to 100 entries at most, so we cap it. So you can't. We're here to judge it and give feedback. So there's no way we could do that if it was too many bars.
Yeah. So every maker can only submit 2 bars, and they can submit no more than 1 bar in each category. Right. So you can't say I'm gonna ask for 8 bars to be judged in the same category, right? Which is almost a way of pretty much guaranteeing you'll get something if you have multiple awards that are being given out. But Dustin, I think that another thing that you've done, which I think is really interesting, is create what we call the Masters. So talk about the Masters at graduation. And what I will do is foreshadow this and to say, last year we introduced the first Master, which was Tandy Peters of Embers Chocolate, Tandy Peterson. And this year we're going to be inducting 2 new Masters into the Craft Chocolate Challenge Hall of Fame. So talk about what a Master is.
So it's set up, this Craft Chocolate Challenge is set up to help chocolate makers. So once you reach the point where you're winning every year, we feel like we've probably done our job, right? And it's also a safeguard on the buddy system. We don't want any bias going on. I'm friends with Mike now. He came to the festival. Like, he's my buddy. I talk with him. So I don't want there to be a perception at some point where, oh, well, just Dustin's friends win this or something like that, because that's just not how we roll. And then I'm just me. So the other judges, I don't know what relationship they might have with another chocolate maker or anything like that. And we get the judges will get the bar like with all their information on it. They know who it's from. So it's another way to kind of safeguard against any of that in the future too. But it's definitely set in place to be like, all right, we've kind of done our job. We have to limit entries. So, if you do want something reviewed we're here for you. But as for the contest part, congratulations.
And I think that's a great segue. So just for everybody to know, this is like the most complicated studio interface I've ever had. So we've got 4 guests, but I have about a dozen pieces of media. So for the people who couldn't be here, we invited them to send us a video or to send us something that we could present in lieu of their being here. So I've got lots of stuff going on, and it's very, very complicated. But what I do want to do is start off with the first award. And we're going to start off with the inclusions. Okay, Dustin? All right, so the first award goes to
Vitals Chocolate with their Golden Bean Trail Bar, 70% dark chocolate.
Right.
So
you have it with you. Yes. So and for people who want to know, this information is not yet on either the Craft Chocolate Challenge website or on the page for this post. It will go up later today. Right. We wanted to keep this private until we actually made the announcements. And, unfortunately, Mike, and unfortunately, Lila, you haven't had a chance to taste these things. And we actually don't have anybody from Vitals here, but we do have this little post, from Kristen, who is the founder. And I'm not going to read it here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to embed it on the page so you can learn a little bit more about what they're doing, all right, if you want to. And then on the Craft Chocolate Challenge website itself, there will be links to each one of the winners' websites. And so if you're watching this and you want to know more about the bar and you want to know more about the company, one of the ways we do promote everything is to make sure that we do have links to the people's website, right? And with that, we're going to go back. No. For some reason, I can't share my screen again. Before remove other media streams. Oh, I have to remove this one first. Now we go. All right. So I'm learning as well because I don't do this very often. The next award, Dustin, is
it's Cachot. The best inclusion silver. Cachot with the Genmaicha bar.
Right. For me, because I'm a judge and I do have a strong memory of this bar. For people who aren't aware of what Genmaicha is, it is a form. Yeah, you've got it there. And what they did was share with me a photo, and I can add that photo so you can see the back of the bar there. Is that one of the things that makes Genmaicha interesting is that it has toasted rice in it. So you get this really interesting green flavor and aroma from the matcha, which is in the bar. And then you have the tea itself before it is ground into a powder, which matcha often is. And Genmaicha is brewed and it is whole leaf. But you have the whole tea leaves in the back of the bar, and then you have the roasted rice in the back of the bar. So one of the things you're getting is the sort of vegetal aroma on the back of the bar, and then you've got the roasty flavor or the roasty aroma from the rice, right? So this was a really, really, really interesting bar to a judge. I have a category which I'll often say is this is one I will definitely finish, and yeah, this is one I definitely finished. All right, and with that, we're going to go back to this, and the gold for the best inclusion category goes to
Chocolat Infini. You want me to say it? I guess, yeah. So,
yeah, Chocolat Infini. Go ahead and
it's
do it.
70% dark with maple, big chunks of maple sugar and stuff on it.
Right, and I know that I have something here from Chocolat Infini, they sent us something. Again, I'm going to post this up on the website. So I'm going to guess that Marc-Antoine, this is a photo of you in the center, the picture. Hey, it looks like they're one of your customers.
I guess so.
Yeah, right?
No, they are.
And Mark gives a quick thank you to everybody for joining us here today. Yeah. So what I want to say about this again as a judge is that there's another aspect of this bar. Number one is that the two bars that were sent to judge, were both blends of Haitian and Belizean beans, which makes them unusual. That most craft chocolate makers are doing single origins, or if they are doing blends, they're not disclosing what the blend is. And so both of these are a mix of Haitian and Belizean beans. So there's a darkness, which I think of as from Haiti, and a sort of brightness, which I think of from Belize. And then, the use of maple sugar clumps as an inclusion changed the sweetness profile of this entirely, because you get the sugar melts on your tongue differently when if it was refined fully into the chocolate, and it made a really, really interesting not only textural component but also a flavor component that is a part of it. So I do want to mention that. And then Mark says yes, that's him, and he says hi, Lila, for a part of that. All right. So Dustin, do you have anything? I mean, you also judged these, although did you actually were your remarks included in the judging? Were your scores included in the final judging or no?
Yeah. I'm
okay.
I'm right there.
All right.
So yeah, I enjoyed it.
If at any point you want to speak up on your particular.
I liked in the Genmaicha bar. My favorite part of that was the white chocolate matcha part. I just think that like she does just a fantastic job. I've had so many matcha white chocolate bars in my life, and it has to be one of my favorite ones. Just how that worked out.
Gotcha.
So,
all right. So cool. All right. So next, we're going to go to the white chocolate category, and again, this is the plain and flavored white chocolate. Although, have we ever had a plain white chocolate bar? I don't think there's ever been a plain white chocolate.
We had a plain white chocolate bar in this one.
Did we?
Yes.
I mean, there were 57 bars to judge this year, right?
And we had eight additional, other than the 57, 8 additional for either like review only, or a couple were sent late that you don't even have, Clay, that they just didn't arrive on time. So.
Right. 57 was a stretch this year, I can tell you. Anyway, so going to the white chocolate bar category, the bronze goes to
Thor with the pineapple cream.
So
I got it.
So Thor's Chocolate is a small maker in eastern Idaho, for people who may not be familiar with the company. So what are your thoughts about pineapple and pizza, and whether pineapple belongs in white chocolate? There are lots of other tropical fruits in white chocolate. I don't know that I've had a lot of pineapple in white chocolate. So, what are your thoughts about this?
My thoughts on pineapple and white chocolate. I'm not a pineapple guy. I don't really get into pineapple on anything, honestly. But his is really like creamy and smooth white chocolate, and then whatever flavor he adds to it, it's just it's pretty good. It's pretty sweet, but it gets the job done.
Yeah. So, and I think of, I think of orange and like an orange Julius, which is sort of like a orange juice and milkshake without the ice cream part of it. It's a mixture of orange juice and milk. And so I think of, think about an orange Julius, but think of it pineapple flavored rather than orange. Right. And it's very definitely Moorish. It's one of those things where if you try some, the flavor is intense, but it disappears. It doesn't linger, and you go, oh, that was good. I want some more. And so for me, that was one of the things that was interesting about this bar as a judge. Moving on to the silver. And by the way, I mean, I made this page a couple of days ago. I don't even remember what all the winners are, because I didn't review it this morning. So yeah, go.
And the best white silver goes to Down Low Chocolate with their strawberry blonde.
Right, and I know that the guys from Down Low were, if they're no longer still in the stream. So this big shout out to So to Jeff and Lee.
Yeah.
So, right. So what are your thoughts? I mean, what are your thoughts about this one as well? Strawberry and.
Well, yeah, it's very different because they don't use like cane sugar, so their mission is very different. And for them to enter contests that when you don't delegate that this is for this type of sugar, this is for this, it's pretty difficult, honestly. So this bar did really well up against that competition. So that's something to definitely be proud of with how they came through with the flavor and the how it worked.
Yeah, it is a challenge when you're using alternative sweeteners, in this case, monk fruit and allulose. And what I do want to do is also mention that they sent us a video, which I'm going to play
cool.
now.
They're so cool.
They sent us a video, which I'm going to play now. I just want to apologize. The audio for this is really hot, and I don't have any way of changing the volume level. So you may want to do it. But here's what it is that the download people sent us.
Folks, Download Chocolate is brought to you by the dynamic duo of Lee and Jeff Huth from Camas, Washington, in the heart of the Pacific Northwest USA. This here's where the magic's made. Got a sweet tooth but watching your sugar? Well, Download's got you covered with a whiz-bang combo of monk fruit and allulose. That's what makes the goods so special, low carb, zero sugar, and just the ticket for a diabetic or keto enthusiast. Behind the scenes and on the down low, Jeff and Lee whip up a delectable variety of dark, milk, and vegan white chocolate bars that are the eel's hips and the butterfly's boots, crafted with care in a snazzy commercial kitchen that they built right in their home. Step right up and hear the big news. This year's Craft Chocolate Challenge saw Down Low's second attempt to shine in the spotlight with a bold, the daring, the real McCoy. A whiskey-infused dark chocolate with candied orange peel inclusion. And the luscious Strawberry Blonde, a strawberry vegan white chocolate that'll knock your socks off. Thank you to the judges, sponsors, and fellow chocolate makers. We'd like to finish with a song about Strawberry Blonde.
With every note, she steals the stage in a speakeasy of the Prohibition age. A chocolate kiss on a starry night, so smooth, so sweet, so pure delight. Strawberry Blonde, you're the star of the show. Your melody dances up high and down low. A vegan dream so rich, so light. You're the taste of jazz in the soft moonlight.
And I don't know about the rest of you, but that video was so on brand.
Yeah,
right?
they're great at it.
Right. And it's part of it. It's actually part of a little bit larger theme, which I noticed as a judge this year, which I thought was very, very interesting. Again, Strawberry Blonde. One of the challenges is like, what's the flavor of blonde? We don't know what the flavor of blonde is. So the blonde chocolate category didn't take off because nobody has an idea about what blonde means, right? And but Strawberry Blonde, and you get this idea, and it's very much pushes into this sort of 1920s swing jazz vibe all the way across. So it was a lot of fun to get this video and play it through. It's like on point branding, just like lean into it, guys. I think it's really, really interesting to do. And with that, Dustin, the gold for the best white chocolate category
goes to Encore Coffee and Chocolate with the vanilla latte. Yeah, right here. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you. I don't have a video quite like Jeff produced, so.
Well, yeah,
You're
but
not gonna dance and sing? Come on.
Yeah, no, you don't want to see that.
We have you in person today, however.
Exactly.
So, it makes sense to me that because you started off as a coffee roaster,
right,
that what you would do is you would lean into coffee as a flavor in your bars. And as a matter of fact, I think most of the bars that you've entered, if I recall, right, except for maybe a single origin one, have included coffee in some form. So talk, coffee is a strong flavor. What's your approach to incorporating flavor, the coffee flavor, into a bar? And this is coffee into a white chocolate bar.
Yeah, so I have basically two series of chocolate bars. They kind of emulate kind of my coffee offerings. So I have my single origin coffees as well as my 70% single origin chocolate bars, and then I have a series of chocolate bars that are emulated coffee house drinks. So last year I entered the cafe mocha. I have an espresso dark chocolate coffee and a white chocolate coffee bar, as well as spiced hot chocolate now and a masala chai and some others in development. So I'm kind of going after that angle. My bars probably have more coffee in them than most bars, and I've just kind of learned that obviously I like coffee, so I tend to have a little bit more in my bars because I feel like I've been so disappointed with other bars where they say that they have coffee on them and you can barely taste the coffee. And to me, that's what I want to present to my customers is a coffee forward bar.
Do you roast your coffee differently to put in a chocolate bar than if you were to make a drink out of it?
Yeah, I've learned that I have to roast the coffee lighter. If not, it gets this kind of strange bitterness to it, a kind of a sourness to it. And that's just kind of been through trial and error. I was working on my espresso bar, and I learned that my standard roast just comes across bad. I had to throw several batches away. Just wasn't happy with them.
Well, one of the things I know from watching James Hoffman videos is that when many people think of espresso, they think of Italian roast or French roast. Right. But if you're using a specialty bean, you might have a very, very light roast on that in order to be able to bring its flavors. And so I think that, one of the things that I've admired, following the work that you've presented, is that you take what it is that you know from your coffee roasting and apply it to your cocoa bean roasting. And I think that has been one of the reasons why you have done as well as you have in this competition.
I have a lot more experience in the coffee world. So,
and we'll come back to you a little bit later because we have to. But let's go to the next category. All right, Dustin, and that is the best milk chocolate. And what we're going to do is, guess what? We have another chocolate bar with espresso. So please.
Yeah, best milk bronze goes to Blind Cat Chocolate with their 53% milk with espresso.
All right. And we have a quick video from the people at Blind Cat.
Hi there, my name is Ann Giuliano and I'm the owner of Blind Cat Chocolate. I'm coming to you from gorgeous Lake Powell. I'm here on vacation celebrating my birthday, so I'm sorry that this is going to be super brief, but I just wanted to thank everyone for this opportunity to submit the chocolate and get feedback. It's just icing on the cake if it wins something, but thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
Great. Well, thanks very much for including that. And I just want to point out that this is the first time that Black Cat entered the competition.
Blind cat.
I'm sorry, blind. You're
black
right.
Or not? It might be.
Blind.
It might not
blind
know.
Cat. Blind. I understand. My daughter has 2 black cats, and so I think about the cats and all that kind of stuff. But
look at this packaging. Yeah, it's got a cat on it, and little paws.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so cool.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, as judges, we not only think about flavor, but we're asked to talk about packaging and branding and related issues like that. And so what the mold looks like, not only the condition that it shows up in, unfortunately, sometimes they don't show up in great condition, but also the design of the mold and how it relates into the branding is another one of the things that we do talk about.
It doesn't factor into the awards part, but it does factor into the feedback and everything we get.
Gotcha. We do that. And so the next award is going to be milk in the best, the silver in the best milk chocolate category.
Yeah, it goes to Heritage Chocolate. That's 54% rosemary and vanilla.
Right. So Heritage Chocolate is from the Dominican Republic. And this is the second year that they've entered the competition. I believe they won one award last year, if I recall properly.
Yep.
And they've got one this year. They entered two different entries. But for me, one of the things which is interesting is that rosemary is I think, a little bit like cilantro, that you really, really, really like it, or you really, really don't like it. And finding a good level of where the rosemary comes through but doesn't overpower, and then combine it with a vanilla, which is not an obvious flavor pairing, made this a really intriguing bar to finish. And Dustin, what were some of your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I completely agree, and that was pretty much what a lot of the judges felt too. It was not 100% polarizing, because it did take home an award. But rosemary is just one of those things. It's going to depend on who's eating it.
Yeah.
So,
very, very much. And so I do want to point out, and kudos to the guys at Down Low for this, to Lee and Jeff. And it says, for Blind Cat, all of the proceeds go to cat rescues and the Humane Society, which is a good thing. And I do need to say the same thing for Vitals, right? Is that the proceeds from their bars go to animal rescue efforts. So
I believe she's actually a vet.
Vitals.
I think Vitals, I believe she's actually a vet.
Right. Yeah. So not only are we, not only do we have good chocolate, but we're trying to do good things through using chocolate as going to do social good, which I think is always important to acknowledge and great to acknowledge. And with that, Dustin, we have the gold in the milk chocolate category, and that goes to?
There's two A Craft Chocolate, 45% milky nibs.
So, do you have anything that you want to say about that?
I really like this bar. Yeah, I liked it. They did something kind of different though too, with like the nibs on the back were kind of a different profile than I think the nibs they actually used in the chocolate, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, it's a really good milk chocolate, and then you got that crunch. It's nice.
Yeah, so it's hard to understand why one particular version of this, because putting nibs into a milk chocolate is a fairly common thing to do. I prefer nibs in milk chocolate most of the time to nibs in dark chocolate. It's like having a light roast coffee in a chocolate bar. I prefer a light roast coffee to a dark roast, for similar kinds of reasons. But let's hear what it is that the people at A Craft Chocolate have to say.
Chocolate maker at A Craft Chocolate. We're a small batch, bean-to-bar chocolate maker in Rochester, New York. This is our first year participating in the Craft Chocolate Challenge. Thank you all for your insight and feedback, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
And I can tell you as a judge that I look forward to having them back again next year as well. I enjoyed both of their entries. So, Lila, it's an interesting question. We think of Ecuador as really a cocoa country. Is there a lot of coffee grown there?
Yes, we also have coffee. We have it. It's a little bit more higher altitude, so not necessarily exactly the same regions as cocoa. But there are some areas that are that overlap, and that is because we have it in Maquipucuna, for example. They were putting just cocoa to try to get some income to preserve the natural reserves. So they had farmers around where the land was already eroded, so they used cocoa and coffee. And cocoa, actually, I saw cocoa growing at an altitude of 1,700 meters, which is pretty high. But they also had coffee there. So we do have the most known one is in Loja. So it's actually in the southern part of Ecuador. You would think it would be closer to Colombia, which is in the northern, but actually our most known coffee is in Loja. And then we have all around the Andes, at the bottom of the Andes, all the way to Colombia. So we do have it. A lot of times it's actually even smuggled to Colombia to make it pass as Colombia coffee, just because they have a better name. But it is. It's a relatively similar climate, same practices. So we have actually a pretty good coffee.
Yeah, I've seen many places on my travels where if coffee grows higher up the mountain, cocoa grows underneath.
Yes,
and
exactly.
one of the things with climate change is as things get warmer, coffee goes higher up in the mountain and cocoa climbs underneath it. Mike, have you ever roasted an Ecuadorian coffee?
No, actually, it's just kind of become more prevalent in the last couple of years. I've never seen it until maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, we actually have, from this reserve, from Akipucuna, we get some. And we have, especially when we ship things to Europe, we have some chocolate makers or some that ask us to buy some coffee from some already very well-known coffee makers, and we bring it in the container too. So they're actually, and those are, and I tried them because, hey, I'm curious,
Yeah.
So I had like a little packet for me too, and it's very good. So
I have a collab for this year's this year's festival, which is bring some coffee. Mike will roast it, and we'll do this special Ecuadorian coffee and chocolate pairing thing.
You might want to ship it to Mike first, because I don't think he's going to bring his roaster.
Yeah.
But...
I understand that.
Bring your
Mike,
roaster.
now you have a source of Ecuadorian coffee. And for me, this is one of the great things that I love is to take people who are part of the challenge, part of the festival, and put them together and help them find ways to do better business, which is really, really quite a wonderful thing. So let's jump to the next category. We're in dark chocolate. Again, plain and flavored dark chocolate, which is one of the things that makes this competition unusual, is we don't have a plain dark chocolate category and a flavored dark chocolate category. We just do both of them together, right? And I can tell you as a judge, I'm a little bit conflicted, right? But it does make it, we do have to focus in a very, very different way at focusing on chocolate that delivers interesting flavors, not necessarily just the flavor of chocolate. So again, a difference in what we're doing here. And so the best dark chocolate bronze goes to
Burnt.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I have to do something on the back end, right?
All right. Burnt Fork Bend, with their 72% single origin from Ecuador.
There we go.
Great.
It's the Blue Heron bar.
Did they buy from you, Lila?
I wouldn't. I'm honestly, I don't know. I would have to check. I cannot read right now. I have no glasses.
Yeah, so like, if you see me look forward, it's like, I don't have my glasses on. It's okay.
You see me leaning forward. It's because of that. I would have to check because I don't. Sometimes they have from Ecuador, but also from different regions. So it depends on what region or what he's listing as. But I will definitely check it out.
Right. So we do have a quick video from them as well.
This is Jennifer, owner and chocolate maker with Burnt Fork Bend Chocolate from Stevensville, Montana. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the Craft Chocolate Challenge for recognizing the Blue Heron Bar for this chocolate award. Thank you.
Great. All right, and that's that. Next, we've got the best dark silver goes to Dustin.
I was waiting on you for the graphic.
Oh my gosh!
Listen,
I'm sorry. I can see it on my end, and I realized that I didn't post it there. Sorry. There's a lot's going on my end. Right?
Blind Cat Chocolates with the 72% Ethiopian spice, and it does have a spice to it.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those things where we've got a single origin bar, right, which is unflavored, and then a single origin bar, which is a flavored chocolate. For me, the Ethiopian spice, it sort of reminded me of harissa. I don't think it's exactly harissa as a spice, but the balance between the depth of the chocolate, any fruitiness that might have been in the chocolate, I don't think an origin is specified here. But then because I happen to like harissa, and I happen to like that flavor profile, it made this a really, 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 really wonderful bar for me. And next, do we have something from Blind Cat? We already played that. And this is unusual. We don't have a lot of double winners in the same year. So this is unusual. And the best dark chocolate gold goes to?
Yeah, Chocolat Infini. 70% classic, which is that blend you mentioned earlier between Haiti and Belize.
Yeah, I have it here. I finished it. It's empty. Although the maple bar, I do have a little bit left. I was sort of saving it, wondering if I was going to eat it during this. And so congratulations to Marc-Antoine at Chocolat Infini in Canada. All I can say is I enjoyed the bars, the sensation of eating them and the flavors. And then, yeah, let's go. And I look forward to having you back next year and join us. And I have a real quick note here. Let me see if I can get my cursor in the right place without causing everything to disappear. Is that Ernie Glazner, who's joining us, says Dominican Republic Zorzal. So I'm guessing, Ernie, that this is the blind cat bar that we just talked about, is the Dominican Zorzal. And Marc-Antoine is saying he's laughing right now like a maniac, and gives us thanks. Well, I'm glad that you're joining us today and sharing that with us. And now, Dustin, the inclusions category, right? And this is really, really interesting for me. I mean, I love judging the inclusions category. I love judging the white chocolate category because, these are where makers can have a lot of fun. And I really do enjoy that level of we were talking about that earlier, Lila. And so
we did the inclusions. Are you talking about the innovation or top overall? Those are
we started off with inclusions. Oh no, let's. You're right. So let's do
top overall next.
Top overall is next. So, do you want to explain how this scoring is done?
Yeah. So we have those categories like you mentioned: dark, milk, white, and inclusions, and then we put them all together, like the score that they get as a top overall. So it could come from either category, and it just see which were the best bars of the whole season, and that's what the top overall celebrates.
Right. So these are the 3 bars that scored the highest score from the judges.
Yep.
Total score, not average score, total score from the judges. All right. And as they say, it could come from any of the categories. And so the bronze goes to
Kesho with the Genmai Cha bar.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Gotcha.
I think it's a new bar too. That's just, we didn't even get that packaging. This is a fresh bar. Like it's on her new line. So
yeah. So what you're doing here is you're actually seeing the final packaging. Yep. We got the bar in an old package with a stick-on label, right, to judge. So we couldn't judge the packaging this year, although it hasn't changed. And this is a packaging style that generally we've loved. And I do know that after the first year they entered this, last year when they entered again, the packaging contained improvements that I know that the judges said, you need to work on this, you need to work on this. And so it's really, really nice that as a judge, I get to see the feedback that I provide actually show up in the work that the makers enter in future years. It's really, really gratifying to me to see that happen as well. All right, top overall silver, Dustin?
That one goes to Encore with the vanilla latte bar. Good job, Mike.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mike. And then the top overall gold went to
Chocolat Infini with the maple one. The maple one. People love the maple. It worked.
Yeah,
it really worked.
Absolutely.
And he's a new maker too. So he had just started making. So it's fantastic. Glad to see it.
Absolutely. As a judge, I always love to have, to see the work from new makers show up and see what it is that they're doing. And the challenge for Chocolat Infini next year is to impress us again in a different kind of way. It's going to be really, really interesting to see.
It's very rare to do like the double winning with to do categories. Ever since I changed the entry where it's restricted almost. It's really difficult to do that. And dark chocolate always maxes out. We take like 25, and anything in the dark is just really hard anyway. So he did a dark and then he did an inclusion, which is 2 of the hardest ones typically. So fantastic job.
Right. And Mark responds, "Oh wow, this made my year, and we're only in April." So hopefully your year will get better from here. This is not the highlight of the year. I'm very grateful. And we're very, as a judge, I'm very grateful that you shared your work with us, and we look forward to your continued participation in the awards.
Yep, and we do physical awards, and that's in the mail, so it's on the way to you right now.
Yeah, you can see the circular medal. That was previous years, but now there's a rectangular medal.
So the circular medal is still here for top overall and for the innovation. Now we do the rectangular one for the general, like bronze, silver, and gold, like a chocolate bar.
Right. I do want to do just a quick shout out, and this is one of the reasons why I love being able to take comments live, which is Shellativity says, I bought the Kesho Genmai Cha bar recently, as this past weekend in DC at the Chocolate Festival. As a tea lover, I think it's so good, right? And I have to agree with you. That's great. And Mark says he can't wait for the medals and especially the feedback. All will be coming. So, Dustin, did you share with Lila the winners in the innovation category? Does she know?
I did, yes.
Okay. So, Lila, do you want to announce these? All right. She might. She's here. So yeah, Lila, do you want to announce?
I can hear it right now. I had a little bit of
a delay.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me see again my glasses. Let me go for that. I have to see them closer up here.
Yeah, it might be hard. It's going to be really hard to read.
Yeah, because I cannot see them.
Okay, so
I can do it.
So Dustin, one thing I think that might be really, really helpful is that if what you could do is you could send the 3 winning bars to Lila.
That would be amazing.
So she'd have a chance to taste them.
Yes.
I think it would be great as the sponsor, because she doesn't know. But yeah, it's going to be really difficult to read these, Lila, so I'm going to let Dustin go ahead and do that. Okay, and so it's also important to note that these are not ranked. There is no gold, silver, or bronze, right? These are just the 3 bars which were independently. So we use Beanstalker as a platform to judge the bars because it has the rubric that we use privately, right? But then separately, we're asked to go through and nominate 3 bars. So every judge nominates 3 bars that they think are innovative and then provide a reason, right, that they think the bars qualify as being innovative. And so the first bar which received an innovation award, Dustin?
Okay, so I didn't know. Yeah, I don't know the order you got them here. So it is Carol Beans, and it's a passion fruit orange guava. So the reason, kind of, the judges liked the back and the swirls. If you can see kind of how that's going and how it's put together as an inclusion.
Okay.
So it is a swirl. It is a bar that is swirled. There are 2 different chocolates in it. And there are these different flavors,
inclusions on there with the swirls.
Yeah, Dustin, if you take a picture of the unwrapped bar and send it to me, I will include it so that people can get an idea of what it looked like.
Okay.
Can you do that? All right.
You want me to do that? Okay.
Not right now. Not right now. It's just when you send it to me. When you send it to me, I will go.
I'm getting a lot of jobs recently from you, telling me what to do. I need to write them down.
Right. Yeah.
Send this here. Do this here. Okay. All right.
And for me, one of the things that's interesting is that we often find these flavors, right, individually in bars, right? So we'll find a guava bar, we'll find a passion fruit bar. And what was interesting here is that all of these 3 flavors together in the swirled bar led to this really interesting presentation. And the guava was in candied chunks on the back, right? So that was also fun. But there was a little bit of citric acid, which was added to it, which really, really, made it bright, right? Which is something that I really, really loved as well, right? And so the next innovation award goes to...
It's a Negroni bar by Chocolat Craft Chocolate. So a Negroni is apparently a drink.
It is my favorite. It is my favorite cocktail. A good Negroni for me is I will pick over almost any kind of thing. And we do have a video from the people at Chocolat.
I'm Fernando Velez from Craft Chocolate. I feel honored to have received this award for our Negroni bar. It is a privilege to be in such fine company with all the winners. I want to thank all the judges for your appreciation of our bar. I want to thank our customers that keeps us going. My team, amazing team that I have. And this couldn't be possible without the competition, from my fellow craft chocolate makers. So I definitely want to give them a heartfelt thanks. And can't wait to keep it going, to enter more challenges and keeping this craft alive. So thank you again. Muchas gracias.
For me, I thought one of the things that was interesting about the way this bar was constructed is that they incorporated orange, which is a traditional Negroni flavoring. It's usually you'll take a peel, and what you'll do is you'll rub the peel on the rim of the glass, and then you'll squeeze the peel to release orange oil onto the top of it, and then you'll put the orange peel in the drink. And so you're smelling it in 3 different ways, and then you're tasting it in multiple ways. And the thing that I really liked about what Fernando did here is that he took that idea and brought it into the chocolate. So there are 3 different orange flavorings in the bar, so which bring to this complexity around the orange flavor. And they did the same thing to cherry. Now, cherry is not normally a Negroni flavor, but it was integrated really, really well in this bar. And so I, as a Negroni lover, I really, really, really loved it. We have a couple more comments. Shelativity says, congrats to Carolyn. Love, love, love the POG bar. Fernando is saying, thank you very much. We have a new one from, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. So Ella de la Cruz, who's saying, congrats to Fernando. The Negroni bar is so yummy. Chris Rivera, chocolatier, says, congratulations to my local chocolate friend, Caro Beans. The POG, a passion fruit orange guava bar, is one of my favorites. Well-deserved recognition. I'm eating the bar right now. I finished this. This is the first bar I finished, right? When I got done with the judging, I wish I had more to judge it. This is not a request to send me. I hit another bar. But yeah, no, it was really yummy. And then from Caro Beans says, thank you very, very much to Chris Rivera, chocolatier. Right. And with that, I think there's just one more. Is that correct?
There's one more.
There's one more. And the final award, the Other Innovation Award, goes to Dustin?
Well, it's not showing up yet here, but Diego's.
Oh, you know what? I saw it over there, and it's not showing up.
No, but it's, yeah, there it is. I see it now.
Yeah.
This guy.
Okay. So tell us what we've got
with
there.
the cardamom. It's like a raw chocolate. It's hard to explain it, but it's like a raw chocolate that you cut, and it's in a different shape than a bar. And yeah, it has cardamom inside of it. So
could you hold it up again? So the winner here is Diego's Chocolate. Diego's Chocolate from Guatemala.
Yes.
Right. And I think that one of the things that the judges responded to is that this was not a rectangular bar, right? And
it is raw chocolate, like, well, in a sense, untempered, kind of like it's a completely different experience. So
right, yeah,
like we had some bars that were out of temper, but this, so it's a completely different. I think that was the response.
Yeah, I understand also, but when I think about sort of traditional, what I think of as Pan-American style chocolate as opposed to European style chocolate. So a European style chocolate is one that is fully refined. So all of the sugar and all the ingredients are fully refined into the chocolate, and it is very smooth, right? Whereas the bar from Diego's is a much more traditional, right? It's not designed to be perfectly smooth. It has a different texture entirely, right? It has a different mouthfeel entirely as a result of doing that. And so I think that's what it is that the judges was responding to. It was the only bar that was being judged that was, deliberately right, different from all of the other bars. And so just congrats on that. I mean, I love the idea that we're getting, you know, traditional styles of chocolate, which are being, or more traditional styles of chocolate. Now, you know, Lila, I think about the kind of chocolate which is consumed in Ecuador. And I don't know that Ecuador has the same sort of consumption background. You know, I go to Colombia and it's a part, especially hot chocolate with cheese in it, is a part of the everyday, you know, Colombian experience or chocolate experience for many Colombians. And I think that, you know, with the Salón del Cacao y Chocolate in Lima for the last decade, there's a much greater appreciation of chocolate in Peru now. And there's a lot more bar consumption. And so, you know, thinking of Ecuador, you know, if somebody thinks of traditional Ecuadorian chocolate, you know, if we go, you know, were they making it back in Pepe de Oro, or is it a really recent thing and it's, it's European?
They did it. It was mostly a drink too. I mean, we have more what traditionally it's a drinking chocolate. We also have it with cheese. That is something that's widely used. Not so much as bars. And when we had brands that were more, a little bit more rough. So in accordance to, you know, what Diego says, you also have to understand that it's a very warm climate, at least in the coast, you know. So if you have a chocolate bar in the car, it's a mess. So it is something that also has to do with how we use it. But chocolate, or the flavor of chocolate, or chocolate as a drink, is widely used. Also in baking, and in anything that has to do with any type of pastries or things, then it's used more. Our problem, I think, has to do with the weather and how to store it and not to temper it and deliver it. And I do think that's also when I always look as ways of how to do craft makers increase their, or are able to sell during the summer, anything that points into alternatives or directions where the tempering is not important, or the breaking bar is something that you might want to look at, because it gives you an alternative to the hot days. So that's a little bit from the Ecuadorian side. We do have it. We have it definitely on the drinking side with cheese. Also we have it with panela. We have it. It's not so much the refined. We have the chocolate de taza. We have it too. So a lot of times also with a lot of cinnamon. So you also have spices normally that are included into this beverage.
Right. So I also want to point out just really, really quickly, because I have two comments here from Ernie Glazner about this. As judges, right, my approach is to judge what is in front of me. I don't do any research about the company that I'm judging, right? I will visit the website if I'm looking for, you know, information, for example, about the origin of the cocoa beans, but I don't actually do anything the history. So I'm been aware of the Diego's brand for a long time, right? But don't have a lot of specific product knowledge about the way the things are manufactured. And so Ernie provided two really important notes. The first one I want to share is that the labels are hand colored, right? And that's another job somewhere in the town. So we hire people in the town to hand color the labels. I think that's a great idea. Other things that Ernie says is that, again, the beans are fire roasted. Their ground looks like anametate. They might be. Diego hires more people in the town instead of getting machines. It's all about providing employment in the town. Cacao, sugar, or orange juice are common ingredients, right? In addition to the cardamom, which was the central flavor of the bar that we judged. And Diego jumps in and says, "What an honor. Congrats to all the other winners. Deliberately different as well," said Clay. We are to Su Chuli since 1990, right? So yeah, as I say, I've known of the brand for quite some time, and it's great to get that done. One more. It's the same folks who process the beans who also color the labels. I mean, and this is an example, I think, of one of the things that craft chocolate makers can do, especially when the production is done in the country where the beans are grown. And it's an example of the value when I think about ways to address the issues associated with craft chocolate and converting people to buy small maker chocolate, specialty chocolate from big industrial chocolate. That these kinds of activities are ones that represent a way to go about in doing those things. Ernie says, I'm just want to run through. Same, I judge what's there, but I've known this maker for some time. Yeah, Ernie, I've known of them, and I know that I've tasted them in the past, but it's probably been more than a decade since I've had any direct connection to them. And so I'm familiar with part of the story, but not the entire story. And it's important, and it would be really interesting to know how many of the other judges knew more of this story and how much of that story factored in to their judging this as an innovation award. And Lila, I do have to say thank you, because this is not a bar that, if it were entered, would have won in the dark chocolate bar category, right? Because it would have been a real challenge. And so having this category where what we can do is we can say, like, throw out all this other stuff, right, and just focus on this, means that a maker like Diego's can be recognized for the work that they're doing. And for me, it's number one, great that you support it, and Dustin, that you were open to it when I suggested it, right, as a way of doing it, as a way of making this different. So that's it. Diego's, the beans are ground in the same type of grinder that used to grind corn into corn flour. So like a Corona grain mill, right, which I have seen used. So yeah, as opposed to a metate. So that's real cool. So Dustin, we've got one more bit of business to take care of. We're running a little long. We got one, and I want to thank you all for staying here. Mike, if you need to go back to your coffee business, and your roasting. I know that you got up really early this morning to get all of your machinery turned off before the start of this today. But Dustin, talk to us about the Masters. What does this all mean, right, for this year?
Masters. Okay, yeah, not the golf competition, right? So to become
no. The Craft Chocolate Challenge Masters.
Yes, yeah, okay. So yeah, becoming a master means you can no longer enter the actual contest. So this year we had 2, Kesho and then Encore, that have leveled up to be masters. So a total of 3 masters in 4 seasons now. Nice. So if these makers still want to pick our brains, they can send us bars to review or anything like that, but they can no longer enter to win awards. So that's where we are with that.
Do we get brown jackets instead of green jackets?
I'll have to try to find more sponsors for that, but yeah, maybe.
which is not a bad idea. And one of the challenges that we have, Lila, it's not running into it now, but Dustin and I already think about it, is what happens if you have a maker win an innovation award in 3 years? What do we do in that? What do we do in that case? I mean, I encourage that. But Dustin, what do you have to do to become a master?
You have to win in 3 years. It doesn't have to be consecutive, but you have to win an award in 3 seasons. So
any level in any category. Any level in any category. And then I refreshed the website, because I haven't posted, because I wanted to do the awards here. You'll be able to see which awards they won in what season. So yeah, Mike won in season 2, 3, and now in 4. Kesho was the same, because that's then they debuted in 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to share. I'm going to share the website because I can.
We have Tandy's up. She was the first one. She entered year 1, and so.
And
Yep. And so Mike, you will be added to this page, right? And with which bar won in which year, right? In which category will also be added to this as a master. So we just wanted to let you know that was coming on. And with that, what I'd like to ask Lila is, any last words?
Well, I'm just excited to try those bars. That's the first thing. I have nothing to do with the judging, and I think that's good. I have nothing to do with the judging. I knew the winners yesterday afternoon or something like that. So I'm always excited to know what it is. And when you guys explain of why you chose them, I completely am looking forward to see what you just said and compare it to my own notes. I'm excited to see what they come up. As I say, there's so many challenges as craft makers to find new ways of conveying your skills. And I think the Innovation Award just makes it a wonderful way of making people try something new. So I want to spread it out, I want to tell everyone those innovations, because it's going to make people also curious. They're going to be like, oh, let me try that. It won an Innovation Award. And I do think that every craft maker has the potential to do something completely new. So just experiment. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Mike, thank you very much. Lila, your support of the challenge has been, I think really pivotal to growing awareness of it and growing it into what it is today. Mike, do you have any closing remarks that you'd like to make as the brand new Craft Chocolate Challenge maestro?
Probably just thanks to everybody that's involved in here. I know Dustin and you put in lots of times on these awards, and all the judges too, because although it may be fun, I would think judging 60 chocolate bars would take a little bit of time and effort. So thanks for all of your time. I appreciate it and look forward to Indiana in November.
Absolutely. Before, Dustin, I give you the last word, I do want a quick shout out to Mitali Patel, who I believe is connecting from India. Who says, thank you for the opportunity and congratulations to the winner. Mitali, thank you. I mean, without you and makers like you, we would be nowhere. Dustin, next to the last word.
Yeah, so another fantastic year. It's always great to do this and get all these new makers and these new experience and everything. I'll just continue to try to grow it the best way I can and try to add things to continue to help chocolate makers. I feel this was great. And like I said, I kind of judge the judges and we'll switch them out here and there and, do things and try to continue to monitor all the situations. So it's kind of fun and interesting to do. Judging so many bars, and when I do recruit other judges, I tell them that it does sound fun, but it's actually, it's a lot of work. And then you get through it, and then, I see judges get fatigued, and then some that have done it for several years, I see like, oh, maybe it's not as exciting to them anymore as when it was the first year or two. So there's a lot that goes into organizing all of it. I need to probably find more sponsors. I need to do a better job at organizing some things. There's a delay this year, and I wasn't on top of promoting things like I should be. So there's some things that I need to work on to improve myself. But overall, I feel like this is a great program. I've learned from it. In my own world of chocolate making, I've been able to network and make friends like you guys here today. And hopefully we can continue to connect more people to each other and grow the industry and work together to make some of the best chocolate ever.
We all live in hope of all of those kinds of things. I need to say thank you to everybody who is involved in this. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to work with everyone on putting the Craft Chocolate Challenge together. It has, challenged, as a judge, it has challenged me to be able to get through the process, and then trying to come up with a methodology of judging, which is different from other awards competitions, has always been one of the reasons why I do this. I believe in more diversity, not less diversity. We need, this whole movement is, less than 30 years old, and it's too soon to settle in on one way to do things. And so I'm happy to be able to support this diversity of beans, diversity of makers, diversity of flavors, diversity of styles, all of those kinds of things, and promoting the work that people from around the world do directly. So it's been, as I say, a pleasure, a challenge at times, and a privilege as well to be able to go do that. Before we do sign off, what I want to remind everybody is that for every episode of Pod Save Chocolate, I put together a post. And this is the post for today's episode. And it's pretty much a run of show. It goes through and we talk about, again, here are the categories and here are the award levels and here are some stats for this year. There is a link directly to the Craft Chocolate Challenge website somewhere. If it's not, I'll put it there. There's a link to the Cocoa Supply website. There's a link to Beanstalker if you want to learn more about that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the winners and I'm going to embed them on this page. So you'll get a chance to see all of those from this page. I'm not going to put links to the websites from my page, but you can go to the Craft Chocolate Challenge website and you can connect directly with the winners and their websites. So this will be updated sometime in the next couple of hours, and you'll have that. And then finally, every episode of Pod Save Chocolate is sponsored by the members of the Chocolate Life. So you can go to, this is the homepage. You can click on the join button at the top here. If you're not a member, you can become a member and support the work that we do here. And with that, I want to thank everybody. We've been here for almost an hour and a half. I've been looking at the YouTube view counter, and it's been one of the more popular episodes that we've done just from YouTube, but I'm not counting the people who are been here from Facebook and LinkedIn. So thank everybody for joining all those platforms. And to sign off, as I always do, by reminding people, if you're working with chocolate and you're not having fun, maybe you need to reconsider your life choices. Ciao, everyone. Until the next time. Thank you all. I'm looking forward to it. Cheers.